Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Three Ways to Your Next Milestone. I'm Eleanor Mower, the Chief Operating Officer of the Jade Marlin Foundation and your host for today. We have an exciting program for you with our distinguished speaker, who will be sharing her expertise and wisdom with us for the next hour. We're hoping to have some time at the end of the program for some questions. We are excited to bring to you Dr. Cozette M. White, our guest speaker. Dr. White is an acclaimed 7-time best-selling author, nationally recognized business strategist, speaker, real estate investor, and philanthropist. Serving clients for over 20 years, Dr. White has been coined your financial physician as a result of her unparalleled ability to empower her clients to ditch debt and develop a plan to create the kind of wealth that leaves a secure financial legacy. Dr. White is the award-winning CEO of My Financial Home Enterprises, a certified woman-owned firm providing tax, accounting, and business management services. She's a resident of Money Matters expert for Fox TV and a recurring voice to millions, making appearances in national media outlets, including Ebony, Black Enterprises, Forbes, Upscale, the Huffington Post, and countless newspapers across the country. Dr. White is a 2-time Lifetime Achievement Awardee with President Barack Obama and President Joe Biden. She is involved in her community and is a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority, Inc., a member of the National Association of Black Accountants and the National Black MBA Association. It is my great pleasure to welcome Dr. Cozette M. White.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. How's everybody today?
We're good.
Good. Well, I do appreciate that introduction. I want to go ahead and just share a little bit more about me. Is it my turn to just take over, or we're doing interview style? What are we doing?
It is ready to go. You go right ahead,
Okay.
Dr. White.
All right. So just a little bit more about me, you all. Of course, I started this journey in accounting way back when. My journey started when I was actually in high school, and someone said to me, which was my teacher, that accounting would be a great field for me to go into. I would always have a job in accounting. And so that's how I landed here with this doing accounting all my life. As mentioned, I am the CEO of My Financial Home. We are a tax and accounting firm located in Oxnard, serving clients in pretty much all states. We also serve clients in about 8 countries. I also have another leg to the organization, which is the Tax Curative, in which we service and maintain or help our tax professionals maintain their continuing education hours. Every year, the IRS and our state agencies require that we fulfill hours and make sure that we are staying continually in the know as to the changes that go on with the tax laws. And so I'm one who teaches those individuals. I also am a huge advocate, you all, for financial literacy. So I work in the schools from time to time, teaching financial literacy to our grades K through 12. And it's an initiative that's put on through the state that I reside in. I don't know where everybody's at, but it is an initiative that I work with some of the school districts to help our youth truly get a jump start on what it is when we talk about money matters. So when we talk about money, I usually have that conversation all the time with my friends. But my true story is, at the age of 22, I was saying I do. I got married at a young age. At the age of 26, I had purchased my very first home. At the age of 30, you all, I was actually going through a divorce. At the age of 31, I was actually filing bankruptcy. And at the age of 35, I had purchased investment property. And by the time I had reached the ripe age of 40, I was declared what they say is a millionaire. So many ask, well, how did that all happen after you filed bankruptcy? Well, I'm going to share that with you all today. And I'm going to share that in what we call the 3 W's to winning, 3 W's to your next milestone. How was it that I went from welfare to warrior to winning? I'm going to give you guys exactly the ingredients, the steps, and what I had to do in order to get to that winning stage. Okay, so I kind of shared a little bit about the welfare stage, but when I was in that welfare stage, I had a 9 to 5, you all. I worked in corporate America. I, believe it or not, worked in corporate America for 20 long years. Had I known what I knew when I finally left, I probably would have left a long time ago, because I was able to leave corporate America and far exceed my personal development, my business development, and help others, just like all of us on this Zoom tonight, grow, scale, and leverage in their business. Not necessarily our tax professionals, but just our everyday taxpayers, our everyday business owners, our B2B, what we like to say. And so in that welfare stage, I had the mindset of what we would call subpar, subpar. I didn't think outside the box. I was only thinking for the day. And I actually had got myself in a pickle because I was living beyond my means. You see, when I got married, my husband spoiled me. We had a little girl, we had a little boy, and we always traveled. But when we went through that divorce, things, reality set in, so to speak, and we went from 2 healthy incomes down to 1 healthy income. And of course, I was the single one left with the bills as well as with the small children. So I ended up losing my job, you all. And so when I lost my job, I had all these bills, I had a mortgage, and I had my 2 kids, and it was my time to say, well, what am I going to do? And I made a decision to file bankruptcy. But I knew better. I knew better. I knew right from wrong. I was the one that was teaching others. And so I said, how did I allow myself to get in this situation? And so that's when I went into what I call the stage of warrior. And that's where I had to fight. I had to get in the boxing ring and put my gloves on and start fighting. I had to change the way that I was thinking so that I could get myself out of the predicament that I had gotten myself into. So when we talk about that from a business standpoint, from a money standpoint, I had to really start picking up more books. Not that I wasn't savvy with money, but I had to start picking up books, and I had to shift the way that I was treating my money. I had to treat it better. I had to stop frivolously spending, and I had to put myself on a really, really tight budget, you all. I had to, sacrifice. And that really, really meant getting into the ring and fighting, saying no to a lot of the things that I was accustomed to always saying yes to, changing my circle of friends that I was associating with, and start hanging with individuals that were going places that I knew that I wanted to go. Started investing in me. And so before I knew it, because I had shifted the way that I was thinking, handling my money, and I really, really put myself on a really strict budget, you all. And when I say strict, that budget was such that I was not going anywhere. I was working the 9 to 5, and I also had the business. The business money allowed me to truly, truly save and tuck things away for a rainy day. When we think back to 2020, we think back to March of 2020, when the world shut down. Many businesses went out of many small business owners went out of business because they did not have a reserve, right? They didn't have much money saved to get them through that hard time during COVID when the world shut down. Luckily, because I had gone through that warrior stage, I had positioned myself a little different, and I had started saving the proceeds from my business. Remember, I had the job. And I call that JOB, just over broke. I had my job, but I also had the business. And so the business is what really afforded me to really tuck money away. And by tucking that money away, that allowed me to really hone in and buckle down, you guys, on what I needed in that short period of time that afforded me the opportunity to buy the investment property. I waited. You guys probably thinking, well, how did she do it? Because I get people that ask me how did it happen? It was just an opportunity that came upon me. I had the resources set aside. And so timing is everything. I was still in that warrior stage. I was still fighting. I was still knocking things out of the way. In that warrior stage, you all, that is when I first learned about coaches. You know, I didn't know anything about a coach. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know anything. I just knew that I needed to surround myself around other like-minded business owners that were 10 steps ahead of me. I knew that I needed to have a circle of friends of millionaires, multi-millionaires, because I knew that they were doing something that I wanted to do. And so I remember investing, I remember investing in a coach. And at the time, it probably was about $2,000. And I thought that that was outrageous. But I will say that very first coach got me a long way with that initial investment. The return on the investment was worth it. And so today, now that I say I'm in my winning stage, when I think about the $2,000 that was invested, it was definitely well worth it. It was definitely well worth it. And I remember the very first time I invested $15,000 in a coach, I was just shaking out of my seat. Like, I was so afraid, wondering, am I going to get the return on my investment? And so, as we all know, when we invest our hard-earned dollars, we show up, we're on time, we're doing exactly what we're supposed to do. We are even asking for the extras. And I remember that particular coach, everything that they said that they were going to deliver, I held them accountable for every single thing, because I was like, that was some hard-earned money. And so I invested in them, you all, to put together our systems. I was still working that 9 to 5, but I needed the systems in order, because I knew that in order for me to go to that warrior stage, and also, you all, to leave the 9 to 5, I had to have systems in place. Without those systems in place in the tax and accounting industry, I was not going to survive. So once I got out of the warrior stage, I know how I did it, but I wasn't watching my numbers. And before I knew it, I slipped up, and I was really doing like 50K per month. And this was when I was still at the 9 to 5, you all. I was consistently doing 50K per month. And it was in that moment that I stayed home from work one day. And I remember my boss reaching out to me while I was at home sick. And she said to me, "Where is the depreciation report?" And now I was at home sick. And in that moment, I immediately said to myself, why do I need to go to work for someone when I'm bringing in 50K every single month? Why do I need to deal with the headache of corporate America? But see, what kept me in corporate America was, guess what? Can anybody guess what it was that was holding me and keeping me in corporate America? It was the paycheck. It was the benefits. It was all the things that I was afraid of on the other side. Fear, thinking I cannot afford insurance if I have my own 9 to 5, my own business. I cannot afford PTO. I cannot afford not to have a check every 2 weeks. But see, fear, which is false evidence appearing to be real, you all, will fool us each and every time. And so I say to any of you who are listening, before I get to the rest of the story and give you the tips that I want you to write down, fear can keep us from moving in a position in which we need to go. Fear can prevent us from excelling. Fear can keep us from winning. And so when I realized that there was more to life on the other side of the fence, I immediately, when the call came through, like, and to all of you, like, I immediately said in that moment, I'm not going back to work. I am not going back to work. And so I panicked after I said it. And the call came through from a friend. And I guess she heard it in my voice. And she said, when are you going to quit that job anyway? And I said, well, I might as well just quit tomorrow. And she said, are you serious? Are you serious? And I said, yes. And so it was in that moment that she like, I think you should quit. You know, you've been waiting on a bonus every year. You realize you can make your own bonus working by yourself. And I'm like, yeah, but there's some things I'm gonna have to do. So in that moment, I said that day, I wrote out my termination letter. And I literally, you all, I walked into the job and I gave them my letter of resignation the very next day. And so here's where I say that I was really, why I say I'm winning. Because when I left the job, I was stress-free. And when I say stress-free, I mean, I didn't have the migraines that I would always get. I was able to surpass my income, my annual income that I had at the JOB in a matter of 4 months, you all. Okay, I was a highly compensated employee, and so I was able to surpass that. I was able to come into my business and implement the systems that I learned in corporate America. You see, when I was in corporate America, I was over the accounting department. I oversaw the IT as well as human resources. So when I came on the other side of the fence, there should not have been anything to hold me back as to why I could not implement the systems that I had did or implemented in corporate America. So the first 4 months after leaving corporate America, I actually came into the office and devoted nothing but pure time of setting up the systems in the business. Even though I had paid someone $15,000, I still had to set up the systems. I still had to have my standard operating procedures. I still had to make sure that I did a budget. I still had to make sure that I hired individuals. I hired 2 people right after leaving corporate America. Was I afraid? Of course I was afraid. But I hired 2 employees right out the gate because I knew that in order to be successful and grow and win, that I could not wear all the hats. Okay, so I went from that stage of welfare. I went into the warrior stage, which is finding a coach, finding a mentor, finding someone that can help you develop you, your personal development, your business development, someone that you can either just pick up the phone and call and ask for help, or you can invest in a coach. When I was initially in the warrior stage, you all, I couldn't afford a high paying coach, the one that I truly had my eyes on. So I watched him and her from afar all the time. Now, back then, social media was just getting started. It was just getting started, okay? Now we could watch anybody and grow a little bit right on social media. But I still had individuals that I looked up to and I watched them from afar, or individuals that I would just reach out to and ask for assistance. Okay. So seek guidance, have a solid support system, and surround yourself with positive influencers. Okay. Individuals who are going to help you grow personally as well as in the business. Okay. And then I had to look at smart alternatives, you all. And I talked about those briefly, hanging around other people, getting into different circles. Your network is your net worth. So my friends did shift. I lost close friends. And I think I said it this weekend when we were in the car that one of my very close friends probably wondering how come I fell off the radar the last several years. But you know, my friends shifted. And I will say to every one of us that are on this Zoom tonight, the proximity rule is really real, and who you know is real. It is not what we know all the time. It's sometimes about who we know that can position us into places and spaces that we may not have imagined. It is the people that we know that can put us in spaces and places that we may not have imagined. Case in point, my media coach reached out to me and said, I have a speaking engagement for you. This speaking engagement, I don't think you're getting paid. And she was just calling me out of the blue. I said, okay, I'll go ahead and I'll speak. I didn't request money because she had already told me that it was a free gig. But after I started talking with the event coordinator, who I later learned was her cousin, she graciously said, I'm not sure if you realize, but we're going to pay you for this event. And I said, okay, great. I said, great. But a closed mouth never gets fed, you all. And so when I say the proximity rule, I said to the lady, is there an opportunity for my curriculum to be placed in the school? How do I do this? How do I get my curriculum in the school? She said, we've already given you a vendor number. You've already been vetted. You don't need to do anything else. You can enroll for this program. Long story short, I ended up getting a contract with the district, and I would not have gotten that contract in the manner that I did and as much as I did had I not been placed in connection with someone that was in the school district that was high up. Okay, so I'm gonna say it again. Our net work is our net worth. We have got to learn to collaborate and connect with different people. Okay, I at one point was so hungry, so to speak, to be in a position or in a room with women that were 10 steps ahead of me. A friend and I started what we call the table of 8. They say if you're not invited to the table, make your own table. So we reached out, and it was 8 of us in a group, and we collaborated. And what we did was formed a cohort. And each week we all taught one another. We were all business owners. They were 10 steps ahead of me, but we each taught one another various different things to help our business grow. Okay. So cultivate a winning mindset. I said to you guys, my mindset was so terrible. Like I was always shopping. You can't really catch me in the mall or any place right now, but as a young, in my 20s and 30s, early 30s, I was always shopping until I went through that divorce. So I really had to shift how I felt about money, what I thought about money, how I started to appreciate my money, because what we think about, we bring about. And in my book, oh my gosh, I forgot. The name of it just went out of my mind, but it's 31 Days of Money Affirmations, Wealth, Prosperity, and Abundance. I talk about having the mindset of winning, having the mindset of being wealthy, having the mindset of abundance. And one thing that I do know is that money is energy. And a lot of times if our mindset is stuck on, I don't have, I tell people, start circulating money. Stop saying words like, I don't have. Say, you and money are friends. I am a money magnet. Money is energy. When we put money out into the universe, it flows back to us. About 2 hours ago, I got a call from someone, and she has a nonprofit organization. They are sending kids off to school, and they are doing their entire room. They're giving them their bed, everything that they need this first semester in school. They're putting their dormitory together. And so she asked me, would you like to donate to a child and carry this child through the first semester? And at first I said no. And so then I said, well, what is my obligation? And so in my mind, what popped up in my mind was, Cozette, energy is money. When you circulate money, it comes back to you. And I'm a true believer of that. Like, I never say too frequently that I don't have, because I know when I give, it always comes back to me. And so I went ahead and I said, yes, I'll go ahead and I'll take on the child and help the student. Not she is a child, but the student. I'll help the student this semester, be her mentor, so on and so forth. And it is really for a good cause, you all. She helps kids who have been in foster care or abuse and things like that, that are trying to go to college and they just don't have the funds. So I felt like it was a good cause. And again, energy is money. So it's going to come back to me. So cultivate a winning mindset. That winning stage, the winning stage is the pinnacle stage, you all. So the winning stage, as it relates to finances, as it relates to our business, I say commit to excellence and start with the end in mind. What does that mean? As a business owner, it is important that we begin to develop different habits. I teach my clients the profit first method. What is the profit first method? Number one, I'm teaching them that there is a need, and I say a need, to have 5 separate accounts. Why do I say 5 separate accounts? You need an income account. That is where all of your money is flowing into. You have an operational account. That is where your operating expenses are paid. You have a payroll tax account. That is payroll. All of the payroll is ran through that payroll account. You're paying your payroll taxes to the federal government as well as the state agencies. You have a income account. That's where you're putting the taxes where you owe Uncle Sam at the end of the year. And then you have what we call a reserve or a savings account or a profit account. However you want to name or label that last account, is basically a reserve account, a savings account where you are paying yourself. Every time you get paid, the business gets paid, the money should go into the income account. I teach my clients on the 15th, on the 10th and the 25th, we take our profit. Throughout the month, preferably not every week, you want to take a certain percentage of your income and allocate it to the other 4 accounts. So if you have $100,000 for the month, you want to allocate it to the other 4 accounts. There is usually a percentage in which I help my clients come up with so that they are allocating this to those other 4 accounts every single month. Now, one of you may say, well, what if I don't have payroll? What if I don't have to pay Uncle Sam? As a business owner, we should be setting money aside for our estimated taxes, or for those who may decide that they're not paying their estimated taxes, we still should be setting something aside in the event that at the end of the year, we have a tax liability, okay? So I want to repeat those. It's our income account. All of our income comes into one account. Our operating account is where we pay all of our operating expenses, our rent, our utilities, our office supplies, marketing, advertising. All of those things are expenses, and we pay those out of our expense account. Payroll. If we run payroll, we have paychecks, we have ADP. All of our payroll is paid out of one particular account. Number one, it's easier to reconcile, and so it's just easier. And all the payroll, you take it from your income account, you transfer over here, direct deposit, paper checks, payroll taxes come out of this one account. What you're paying Uncle Sam goes into another account, and then your savings account, your reserve account, however you choose to name it. Okay. So you got to start managing your money, and you got to start paying close to things that can hurt you with your taxes. Okay. Guys and ladies, it is so important that if you plan to win and if you plan to next level, you have to manage your financials. If you cannot manage your financials, then you need to hire someone. One of the things that I, as a tax professional, accountant, see is that accounting, money, taxes is the last thing that we as business owners think about. We think about marketing. We think about advertising. We think about everything else, but making sure that our money is in alignment with where it should. But what I oftentimes hear is, well, I know that I'm making the money, but I don't see it in my account. The reason why you don't see it in your account, and the reason why you're making the money, but you're not managing the money. If you cannot manage it, someone else should be managing it for you, and someone else should be instructing you and guiding you and coaching you that, hey, Sandra, you're overspending for marketing. Dr. Janice, your payroll looks out of whack. Your overtime is more than we budgeted. You are too busy in the trenches in the business as the business owner, and you're not looking at the finer line items in the business. And so as the business owner, you're spending because you know that either you want a contract, some clients paid you, it looks like you have cash in the bank. But in reality, at the end of the month, at the end of the day, if you are not looking at your balance sheet, your profit and loss statement, if you're a not-for-profit organization, you got to look at your statement of functional expenses to see where the money is going and what that bottom line is. Some people operate in the red and they don't really know. They're just living month to month to month as a business owner. So I need for you all to review your numbers, review your finances, review your financial statements every single month. Know that there is help. There are individuals out there, there's a budget for everybody. So I guarantee you, if you think you can't afford it, there's somebody out there that can help you grow your business. Simple things, you guys, by looking at these numbers on a monthly basis. Seriously. Okay. When you're winning, you have KPIs in place. How many of you are familiar with KPIs, key performance indicators? I can't see all the hands. Okay, great. Well, every business should have what we call KPIs. These are key performance indicators. They help you determine if you're tracking your goal. Yesterday was July 31st. So everybody should have been watching their KPIs all throughout the month to determine if they were going to hit that target, that goal, to hit their goal every single month at the end of July 31st. We just turned over a brand new leaf. It is August 1st. So everyone is setting new goals, or they're looking at the goals that they set in January or last year. They're looking at their goals. This month, our target is to hit whatever the target is. Our target is to bring on 10 new clients. Our target is to grow our list to gain new organic clients. Our goal is to talk on social media 6 times this month. Whatever the goal looks like, those are what we call key performance indicators. Those key performance indicators help us as a business owner gauge where we are to determine if we're on target. And these are all things that I knew because I worked in corporate But when I was a lot younger, I was not doing any of this. But once I got real serious, things changed in my organization. And I began to not only implement these things, but I began to watch them, monitor them, review them, hold my team accountable, have weekly meetings. We meet once a month. I mean, once a week. We we meet on Mondays at 9 a.m. My team and I meet every single Monday at 9 a.m. Usually, like the end of the day on Wednesday, I'm probably saying something to them about where our goals are. Thursday, I don't meet with them again, but I ask them to just give me an update. And then Friday, by the end of the day, I usually will run some numbers to see where we're at. And then if we miss our goal, I talk about them in Monday's meeting, but I communicate with my team so that we hit our goals. Okay. So for all of you, you should have a set of key performance indicators that are specific to your company, specific to your industry, that you can review and follow on a regular basis. If you, as the business owner, are struggling with setting key performance indicators and you have an accountant, a CPA, or someone that you are working with, they can assist you in setting your key performance indicators because they are looking at your numbers on a regular basis and they can help hold you accountable for making sure that you adhere to your goals. All right. Track your goals, make sure that you're on target. That's the only way you're going to get to your next level winning. And then you guys, you have to, yes, you have to. You have to sit with a tax professional at bare minimum twice a year. What are the 2 times? Of course, when you're getting your taxes, and then mid-year. That mid-year could be right now. That mid-year could be at the beginning of October, November at the latest. Why? Client called me today, 12 o'clock call today. 12 o'clock call. They said, the notes right here, we have an influx of cash. We received $330,000 from ERC. So that means at the end of the year, our revenue is going to be higher. We need to figure out what should we do with this so that we pay the least in taxes at the end of the year. After listening to my client, I said, that is a tax planning session. I'll send you some forms and we can talk about tax planning. I need A, B, C, and D. I cannot just make a decision by someone telling me. I need to look at the financial statements. I don't do their books. I'm their tax person. I need to look at the books to see what's happened the first 6 months of the year, first 7 months of the year. Okay. Make sure that you are talking to your professional so that you know where your company is going. You can really defer some income, do some projection. What do you need to do so that you don't owe Uncle Sam? And it could be the other way around, you guys. Maybe you're not making the revenue that you want. Talk to them. See if they can help you implement some key performance indicators that will allow you to monitor and manage the success of your business. Remember, I said this is 3 W's to winning, 3 W's to your next milestone. You have to inspect what you expect. So if you're not playing a part in growing your business, then it's not going to grow you all. Okay. Tax planning, stay updated with tax regulations and work with a professional. These are all things that everyone needs to do on an ongoing basis in order to move from welfare to warrior to winning. Okay. My journey, you all, when I honestly speaking, like when I watch my KPIs, when I religiously watch my numbers, we kick butt. We kick butt because we're watching them, and we're watching them very, very, very closely. And when we hold those meetings, we're holding everyone accountable And we're also cheering on everybody when we have huge wins. And it just makes for great teamwork, and it allows everyone in the organization to feel a part of a team that's winning and growing. Okay. So I don't know how I'm doing on time, but I want to open this up. It looks like I got some time left, but I want to be in a position to open this up for any questions that you all may have, whether it's tax related questions, whether it's money management questions, whatever it is. The one thing that I want to say to all of you, and I can't see faces, but one thing that has really helped me in my business streamline some things over the last 6-7 months is Chat GPT. So if you guys are not utilizing Chat GPT, if you are not taking advantage of it, because the AI is here to stay, you are truly missing out. You are really, really missing out. Like I take my cell phone and I talk to Chat GPT often. Chat GPT will draft me a letter. Chat GPT has did some of our SOPs. Chat GPT has been really user friendly for us. It's allowed us to do some strategic planning we actually put together our end of year Facebook plan through Chat GPT. You know, what to post, give us the subject matter to talk about, give us 3 bullets to talk about. What do we talk about within those 3 bullets? So it's really been a great tool for us to help us grow on the marketing side, to help us with our standard operating procedures. And just a quick show of hands, how many of you guys are using Chat GPT? In the chat, put a 1 if you're using Chat GPT. No one? You guys are missing out.
Dr. White, I had a question, if I may.
Absolutely.
At the very beginning of your presentation, one of the things that I heard loud and clear, because I was thinking as that people start moving from the stages that you meant, getting to that warrior stage, what are some of the tips you could share on how to get out of that fear stage, that frozen stage?
That's a really good question. Because procrastination can kill us, and fear can kill us as well. I would say if fear is really holding you back, number one, you just got to jump in and do it. That's what I always say to anybody. But I think you need an accountability partner, someone that will hold you accountable for the things that you are attempting to accomplish. And I don't mean like a buddy person. I mean like someone who's really gonna, either you guys are texting or you're on Zoom or you're calling each other like my accountability partner. We talk on Mondays from 8 to 9, and then I jump on with my team and we talk on Friday to see what we got done. So on Fridays is really quickly. It's real quick. So accountability partner, change your circle and just do it. I mean, what's the worst thing that could happen to you? What is the worst thing that could happen? We fall down, but we get up. We fall down, but we get up. Okay. So I don't think that we should allow fear to prevent us from excelling, from moving forward.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. I can't see a chat box from where I am. I don't know if you can, so I'm not sure if anyone else.
I can, but no one has any questions in the chat box, in the chat.
Okay. Well, then maybe I took copious notes. I personally learned quite a bit. I want to thank you for what you've shared. We greatly appreciate having you in our webinar. I think your insights, I think your tips, your experiences were to me, they were just mesmerizing, Dr. White. Thoroughly enjoyable. And on behalf of the Jade Marlin Foundation and all the staff. I want to thank you for being with us tonight very much.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. And I thank you guys for this awesome opportunity, both yourself and Jade. All right. And Sandra, I want
yes,
to ask Sandra.
I enjoyed it as well. I don't personally have a business, but I definitely learned a lot about what is required. And also the fear you were talking about earlier, when you said it, I knew exactly what you were talking about, because having a steady job, and I actually went from having a regular job with a regular paycheck to now being independent, being a writer, writing different kinds of work, but still it was a scary thing to do, to move from, I know I have a check coming every week, or my insurance, everything's already lined up, my everything is already tied up.
Right. And the retirement, I didn't even say retirement, but yes, retirement.
Yeah, retirement too. You got to build your own now. You know, it's
Right.
it's huge. It's a scary place, and depending, even though no matter what your age, it's still a scary thing to move
Yes.
into that. And when you really don't have like the knowledge, it's even more scary. Though you do take the step, but I've learned a lot more that I need to put into place during this time to make it, to make life a little easier, to make some
Great.
changes that are going to benefit us.
So I have a question for you. I heard you say you left your job, but you're not a business owner. But then I heard you say you are a writer. So is that a hobby, or you do that as a business?
I guess, yeah, I do. Well, it's a weird thing. I do it. I do it as a business, but not. I'm self-employed in that I have to go network to get the business. So I just write for individuals and companies that want to start schools. So I write their applications. To me, in my mind, I guess I don't look at that as I guess it's a business of its own, but I guess I got a different interpretation of what a business looks like, because I think of more, So I guess to me, it's like a side job. So I have to make
technically it's a business,
It's a
because you are
business.
making money and you're working for yourself. You're self-employed. So it's a small business.
Very small.
Small business makes up the vast majority of jobs out there, small business owners.
That's true. Very true.
Yeah,
So
it gave me an independence that I didn't know I needed, but I did need. But it has opened my mind to other things that I want to do now that I wouldn't have even considered in the past. I think that along with that, and COVID-19 just kind of opened up. I think a lot of more people became more self-employed, opened up businesses during that period of time. So there's more of that going on. So this is definitely really beneficial.
Thank you. And I think, a lot of people did leave the job. I believe, and this is just my thought process, I believe that a lot of people that left the job during COVID, I believe some of them have actually gone back into the workforce. I don't know the statistics on it, but it just seems as though some have gone back into the workforce. So what do you guys take on that?
Definitely. I think definitely they had. I think that for whatever reason, whether large employers could get, they may have paid for people to work from home, and then people move from that a different kind of hybrid position, but ultimately people had to go back to work. There's a misunderstanding out there that people were getting all this unemployment, but as we all know, unemployment has its limitations. It's not a forever thing.
Right.
And even if you go to the social services for those that are in a disadvantaged way, that has its limitations also. So I agree with you, Dr. White. I think people have ultimately gone back into the workforce and, in some cases changed jobs because they didn't want to work in the same kind of area.
Yeah. And even I believe those that have actually ventured out, they left the job and thought that they were going to become self-employed. I think those individuals have actually gone back into the workforce. They tried the self-employment thing and it just didn't work for them, to bring in the revenue, to bring in the income, to keep a roof over their head. And I think they've gone back into the workforce as well. We see it, or I can see it, especially, in the taxes, those that were W-2 didn't have W-2 and now they're back to W-2. So,
Right.
we've been able to see that shift And even in the tax industry, we've over the last 3 years, my goodness, we saw the peak and then the valley, and now it's tapering off. But this past tax season, tax year 2022, was the first year where we saw so many people that did not have W-2s because they left their job, tried to do the self-employment, and now even some of my clients, they say they've gone back to work. It just wasn't conducive for them.
Absolutely.
I think, San Francisco is a good example of what has been happening. I don't know if you've seen what's been happening down there, is that when COVID hit, a lot of people, of course, started working from home, right? But what the large companies also noticed is, wait a minute, we're paying all this money for these buildings, for this rent, but we don't really need these people in the office anymore. So
Right.
in parts of San Francisco, they have tons of financial buildings that are empty.
I bet.
Homeless people are coming in now. And it's
Wow.
like,
Oh
I'm
my
like, San
goodness.
Francisco? But you could see, because if the dynamics change, the logistics change, the company said, we've got all this overhead, now we can bring it down if we can have people work at home, the ones they trust, of course. If they can get more people to work at home, the cost goes down. So why do
Right.
we need to rent these buildings anymore? If we can walk away, we're going to walk away. But at the same time, there are companies where a lot of people went back to work physically.
Yeah.
They're still work there. Like I have friends that say they work hybrid. They work 2 days on, 2 days in the office, 3 days at home. You know, the
Yeah.
companies are slowly trying to get them to come back in. But
Yeah.
some have just regulated them to just being at home, you know. So I think, but still, that means they're still working for a company. Like you said, you don't see as many. Probably next year they'll file more taxes from their whoever they're working for after they've tried the entrepreneurship. It's hard. It's really hard
Right.
to work for yourself. It's not an easy thing, especially if you have a family. By yourself, you probably would be easier than it is if you have your family, because you have more to consider, you know?
I'm just gonna say I'm gonna say just really like one time I saw a drop, and that's when I was worried. But other than that, I just continuously, work the business, and it just rewards me, so, but it really depends on your industry. So, and
That
to
is true.
piggyback on your statement, Sandra,